In this video, we're going to show you how to install the wheel hub on your Volvo XC90 located behind the rear wheels. Using a 19mm socket, we want to get it loosened and remove our lug nuts. Grab that wheel, remove it, and set it aside. Now with the back wheel removed, we want to go ahead and we're going to pop out our ABS wire out of the bracket here. Now you want to pull on both sides here. Don't just pull on the wire with one hand. You can damage the ABS wire. I'm going to take two fingers, one on each side, and just kind of roll it up and out. You follow this wire over, it goes to a little plastic clip onto the flex hose. There's going to be a couple of them. I'm just going to pop these off completely. That way there, it's going to allow us to get our ABS wire out of the way. Just kind of tuck that over here. Now the caliper and bracket are going to come off together. There's a bolt right here, and then there's one down below here, both 13mm. So we're going to go ahead and use our ratchet. We want to loosen these here. Get that one loose. And I'm going to go ahead and get that lower one now. I'm going to remove that lower bolt, set that aside. Let's go ahead and get that upper bolt. Now when you remove the upper bolt here, the caliper and bracket will be loose. You don't want the whole unit here to fall off and pull on the flex hose here. You can damage the flex hose. So as this bolt comes out, apply some inward pressure on that caliper and bracket just to hold it in place. In most cases, it'll sit there while you remove this here, no problem, but it's always good that you take caution that that can happen. Now before I pull this off, I'm going to grab my hanging tool here. I'm going to slide this off. I'm going to go ahead and hang this off of my spring assembly, like so. Using a 10mm socket, we're going to go ahead and remove the bolt holding our rotor to the hub. If you do not have this, it is not critical to the operation. We're just going to skip that step if you don't have it. Go ahead and grab that brake rotor, slide that off, and set it aside. Now in the very center, we have a 13mm bolt here for the axle. Go ahead, loosen and remove that. Now that we have the axle bolt out, we want to go ahead and free the axle from the splines inside here. Now you can reach inside and push on the center and try and push that axle in. It should free float a little bit. Ours is kind of stuck. So you can spray a little bit of rust penetrant in there to help lubricate that. Now I'm going to use a brass punch here, fat enough that it won't go in and damage the threads where the bolt was. And I'm just going to tap this gently. And you can actually see the punch working in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach up and over and I'm going to grab that axle shaft. And you can see this moving now. So that's perfect. We're now going to focus on removing the 4 bolts on the back side of our wheel hub assembly. Now one of the upper bolts is right here, right behind where the ABS wire bracket is. We're going to use our 15mm box end wrench here. And the longer, the better, because you're going to want to get some leverage here to break this. And once you do break that free, you can continue using the box wrench, or you can go to the open end. If you have a gear wrench, you could probably switch over to that. ahead and remove that bolt. Now we're going to go for the upper rear bolt. I'm going to use my extension with my ratchet on this one here. Loosen and remove this bolt. On the lower rearward bolt here, I'm going to use my box wrench. Now this one's going to take a little bit longer due to the clearance or a lack of clearance. I'll switch over to my open-end wrench because the box won't fit in there. Now we're going to use our pole jack to go ahead and level off the suspension a little bit. This is going to hopefully give us enough room to go ahead and gain better access to that lower rearward bolt on that wheel hub. Now that we have this bolt broken free, I'm going to use my extension and my electric ratchet with a swivel. I'm going to remove my pole jack for now. We are going to have to install this again later to get that rearward bolt in with the swivel and extension, but to get the last bolt out, we do not need the jack there. So we'll roll this out of the way. And on that lower forward bolt, there it is. Switch over to my gear wrench just for clearance purposes. Now we did tuck our brake caliper up on top there. It still has the hook on it. Make sure that it doesn't drop down and swing into your face if you are underneath working like this. If you're swinging a wrench also, be careful of the sheet metal on your backing plate. Now I'm going to use a hammer here and try and tap the back side of the hub flange itself. Depending on your positioning, be careful of where this is going to come out. I'm going to simply put my hand here to hold it. There it is. Now before we install our new hub assembly, we want to go ahead and prep this here. Now I'm going to use a little bit of sandpaper here, and I'm going to go around the perimeter And ours is a little rusty, so we want to just gently clean up the surface here around the inside lip. A little bit of sandpaper. Now you can use a 60 grit, 80 grit. I am using something a little bit aggressive because ours is pretty rusty. You might be able to get away with a 120. Now you want to be careful right here. That is your ABS sensor. I'm going to sand the metal up above it. And just work your way around the perimeter. Then we're going to take some spray solvent, give it a quick rinse. You had to wipe that down. I'm also going to wipe down the axle itself. And then clean all that up. Clean the axle shaft itself where the splines are. Make sure that ABS sensor is clean. Just wipe down around the perimeter of that. Make sure there's no debris on that. I'm going to take some anti-seize compound and put some on the splines of our CV axle. And I'm also going to put a little bit around the surface here for the wheel hub, right on the flange. And you can also put a little bit on the inside here as well. Now, I'm not going to coat it, just a little bit. Don't get any on that sensor. All right. Now, when installing the wheel hub, you do want to pay attention to the orientation of our bolts. The two rear ones are further apart. The front ones are closer together. Now, if you take the wheel hub itself, it has this plastic disc on the back, and if you use your finger, you can slide this around. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and position it so that this sensor is in between one of these spacings here. So we want to flip this up. Line this up. Now the nice thing about this here, before we install this, that these are ramped. So if you don't get it perfect, this will rotate and it'll pop into the center section there. So it's okay if it's not perfectly centered right now. If you look at the spacing here, that sensor is almost in the middle. It's just a hair bit further back. So when putting this on, you can position it so that gap is right there. Line this up, slide it over the splines, and press that in. With that resting in place, go ahead and take your axle bolt and just thread that in, just a couple threads, just to hold that wheel hub in place so it doesn't fall out. Let's go around the back side and install our bolts. Now we're just going to reverse the procedure. I'm going to install the upper right bolt here, upper forward. And I'm going to try and get that started by hand first. You might have to grab that wheel hub and rotate it or shift it a little bit to get that to line up. And you can totally do that because we have the axle bolt installed. So even if that hub is loose a little bit, it's not going to fall out. Now I am going to try and run this bolt almost in all the way, but I don't want to tighten it. I want to be able to have a little bit of flexibility to wiggle this around to get the other bolts in. So I'm going to go ahead and get the lower forward bolt in. Wiggle that hub around a little bit. Here we go, we got it started. And I'm just going to repeat this process for the back. Now this is already lined up, but you can see you still got some flexibility here. I'm just going to go around the back side and get those 2 bolts started. Now that we have the 2 bolts on the back in and snug down gently, I'm going to come back to the front. We're going to repeat the process here. Run these bolts in the rest of the way, and then we'll snug them down, and then we can start our torquing process. All right, let's go ahead and torque these down next. Now let's go ahead and torque these down to 50 foot-pounds. In order to get to that upper one there, I am going to drop our caliper down and switch over to a deep socket to get past the ABS. Now let's go ahead and torque the 2 rear. Before we install our brake rotor, we do want to go ahead and put a light coat of anti-seize compound on the hub face. Go ahead and grab your brake rotor. Set that on. And if your rotor has that bolt holding it, go ahead and line that up and get that started. And we're going to go ahead and tighten that down. Go ahead and grab your caliper and bracket. Go ahead and slide this over. I like to go ahead and get the upper bolt started first. That way, once it's cut a couple threads, then you can comfortably let go of that caliper and bracket and it won't drop. Now I'm going to take my bolt, get that in the port down below, and just lift up on the caliper slowly, and that bolt will drop into position. And get that bolt started a few threads. Now we can go ahead and snug these down. All right, let's go ahead and torque those down. I want to torque these down to 26 foot-pounds. Now we need to go ahead and tighten these an additional 60 degrees. Now at this point here, to get a general idea of a 60-degree turn, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a black marker and I'm going to put a mark at about 12 o'clock. Now what we're going to do is we're going to continue to tighten this about 60 degrees, which is less than your 90-degree quarter turn. Okay, so our mark is about 60 degrees. We're going to go ahead and do the same for the bottom. Now that everything is tight, install your ABS wire. Slide this back down into the bracket. Just gently roll the rubber grommet down into it. Pop that on and then get that clip on the flex hose. Let's go ahead and tighten down our axle bolt. Let's go ahead and install 2 of the lug studs here. And I want to torque this down to 26 foot-pounds. Now I need to continue to tighten this 90 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this here till we have a high point on our bolt, and we're going to mark that. In 90 degrees, we want this black mark to be at 3 o'clock. So this washer should stay stationary. We're going to mark this. The reason why I did that is that if we're going to use our lug studs here to hold this, we want to make sure that it, in case it rotates like this, we can still get an appropriate 90 degrees. Let's get to remove our lug studs. Now at this point here, we can go ahead and install our wheel. After we install that wheel, go ahead and hop into the vehicle, pump up the brakes. If you do need to repeat this process for the other side, it's all going to be identical. Make sure you pump up the brakes before you put that vehicle in drive, and you're all set. Go ahead and grab your wheel. Go ahead and get that lined up. Let's go ahead and get one of these lug studs started. Let's go ahead and get the rest of these started, a few threads, then we'll come on back and snug them down. Let's go ahead and gently snug these down. All right, let's now go ahead and torque them down. Let's now go ahead and torque down the lug nuts to 103 foot-pounds. When doing this here, it's best to do it in a crisscross or star pattern.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.